Therefore, the spiritual and material world were not two different substances, but only gradations of vibration and frequency. Therefore, they saw the joy of sex as a natural, divine expression of life. An orgasm, for example, would be reaching a higher vibration within our human experience. The act of creation, including sexual union, was viewed as sacred and integral to the human experience. Through an orgasm, one can vibrationally enter into higher metaphysical experience and knowledge because the spiritual and physical realms are interconnected in that way. Hi, I'm Reginald Martin, founder of Kemetic Living. We help those deconverting from negative religious programming unravel indoctrination, enabling you to live authentically, free from guilt and shame, with credible, researched information to confidently transition from belief to knowing. If you're interested in more life transformational content, detailed mental alchemy, and esoteric knowledge, we offer a suite of courses at www.kemeticcenteredliving.com, all meticulously designed to aid seekers on their journey. You can also join the channel and get access to more exclusive content. I know for many, we felt duped by the church and do not want to support it. The information can sound like church knowledge, but I am not a Christian or a pastor. I am an entrepreneur with the gift and skill to take difficult to understand concepts and make them accessible and understandable. So, if you find value in the content on this channel and want to offer your support for this knowledge that frees individuals from religious indoctrination, you can do so through Cash App at $KHUAKARU1. That's $KHUAKARU1. Links are in the description. You can like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new one-of-a-kind videos that delve deep into unraveling the hidden meaning in ancient mythological texts that free you from low vibrational, negative, fear-based mental programming. In this video, we'll explore the origins of the negative religious view of sex, uncovering the historical and philosophical roots rather than relying solely on faith and hearsay. My hope is that this understanding will provide a foundation for you to mentally liberate yourself from the guilt and shame surrounding your sex life and sexuality. Uncovering the origins, the true source of religious views on sexuality. Throughout history, the interpretation of sexuality within Christianity has evolved in a way leading to various doctrines that often instill fear, guilt, and shame regarding sex outside of marriage. I know there will be those who hear this and think that I'm promoting promiscuity. I'm not. For me, it's about promoting principles that help you live life in a high vibrational, joyous state of being. My belief about promiscuity is that it's the experience that a person wants to cultivate. It's their choice in their life. It's a choice for anyone who wants to involve themselves in any way with that lifestyle. Soul contracts are always in play with everyone. This is the principle. From a soul level perspective, all experiences are valid. The truth is that lessons can and will be learned, and wisdom gained through those experiences. People may judge those who live that life, but from a metaphysics perspective, you will be the judge of whether you have accomplished what you wanted to for this lifetime. In ancient Egyptian philosophy, one of Osiris's epitaphs is the judge in the underworld. Functionally, each of us is a soul in the underworld, and the judge is our soul self, not God or some entity outside of us. The religious view of sex has created dysfunction. But why? Fornication, as labeled by Christianity, became a religious sin due to the sexual dysfunctional misinterpretations of Egyptian philosophy by Greek Gnostics. Equally dysfunctional Christian fathers then adopted these misguided Gnostic teachings, integrating them into the fabric of Christianity. Bible scholar Elaine Pagels, in her book Adam, Eve, and the Serpent, says this about Christian father St. Augustine. By the beginning of the 5th century, Augustine had actually declared that spontaneous sexual desire is the proof of and penalty for universal original sin, an idea that would have baffled most of his Christian predecessors, to say nothing of his pagan and Jewish contemporaries. In other words, if you got horny, it's proof that you are a born sinner. For Augustine, it confirms the doctrine of total depravity, which states, total depravity is closely connected to original sin. It states that because mankind's parents sin, that all of their descendants are born into the world morally corrupt, enslaved to sin, apart from the grace of God, with an inability to turn to Christ in faith. Now, you may not be familiar with the doctrine of total depravity, but if you've been a Christian, you've likely felt its effects. This belief can instill a profound fear of death and constant anxiety, as it leaves you uncertain if you are living correctly. Here are some of the negative mental effects of believing in this doctrine. Number one, fear of making mistakes. You may find yourself living in constant fear of doing something wrong, which can stifle your growth and happiness. Number two, feeling weak and dependent. You might feel inherently weak and believe you need help from something outside yourself to be worthy or strong. Number three, fear of separation from the source. This belief can lead you to think that your actions can separate you from the divine source, causing feelings of isolation and despair. Now, these are just a few of the psychological hurdles that arise from such beliefs. Even a simple, natural thought about something sexual can trigger these negative feelings. But it doesn't have to be this way. Embrace the knowledge that you are inherently safe and secure. You are a powerful divine being capable of navigating life with confidence and inner strength. Author Tobias Cheriton of the Gnostic views of sex traces the origin of sexuality within Christianity, and he has this to say about how early Christian views on sexuality were formed. So why did sex become puritanical within Christianity? There appears to have been a mood that hit the Roman Empire in the 2nd century, a waning of the lamp, so to speak, when many considered having been born into this world a liability. In such a mood, it was not difficult to take on the widespread Christian doctrine that sin entered the world through the sin of Adam, transmitted every time a child was born. It was not difficult to conclude that by abstaining from procreation and sex, one was effectively contributing to the saving of souls, since it was deemed that lust conditioned most, if not all, births. He explains the philosophical mindset that set the tone for dysfunctional sexuality within Christianity. Within Gnosticism, there were theological battles between groups like the Syncretists and the Valentinians. The Syncretists believed that no one should have sex in a way that could bring another soul into the earthly plane. The Valentinians held a similar view, but considered having a baby through marriage a permissible loophole. This belief by the Valentinians is the foundational philosophical reason that sex outside of marriage was deemed sinful. Now, there's much more to the theology, but I'm summarizing it for brevity. I share this knowledge with you to empower you with facts, allowing you to make informed choices about your sex life. This is not about downgrading marriage or promoting promiscuity, but about understanding why Christianity deems sex outside of marriage sinful. With this historical and philosophical knowledge, you can navigate your sexual choices from a place of awareness rather than blindly following beliefs that cause guilt, shame, and anxiety. The Catholic Church adopted both perspectives of Syncretists and Valentinians. The clergy were forbidden to have sex and marry, while the laity could engage in sexual activity if they were married. The dual approach laid the foundation for the idea that sex outside of marriage is a sin and for the sexual dysfunction many experience today due to religious beliefs. However, understanding these concepts through the lens of the original ancient mythology, symbolism, and philosophy can provide a path to overcome sexual dysfunction and embrace a healed, psychologically healthier, empowered view of sexuality. Let's address this topic in 3 phases. First, rediscovering ancient wisdom to free you from religious misinterpretations. Second, redefining sexuality and religious blocks with metaphysical insights. Third, reclaiming your divine essence free from outdated religious beliefs. Rediscovering ancient wisdom. Freeing sexuality from religious misinterpretations. The idea that sex outside of marriage is sinful emerged from early Christian and Gnostic misinterpretations of ancient Egyptian teachings. The descent of the soul into matter was a function of the Egyptian neter Set. Set personified the idea of negating or ending oneness. Because of the opening or split, we have a universe where opposites like good and bad, light and dark exist. Horns were used to symbolize this natural function of Set, which later became the word Satan. Now you know why the devil is often symbolized with horns. However, from the philosophy of this ancient Egyptian natural function of a soul descending into matter, Christianity created the idea of humankind's fall as a doctrine. But in pre-Christian philosophy, opposition and duality that were created from oneness were never meant to denote humanity's sinful state of fall from grace. It was about the light of the Creator now having the ability to see and experience the opposite in many forms. But Egyptian spirituality did not separate the material world from the spiritual or see them as fundamentally different. Their view was that everything in the universe was the source expressing itself in multiple ways. The organizing principle of the universe is vibration. Therefore, the spiritual and material world were not two different substances, but only gradations of vibration and frequency. Therefore, they saw the joy of sex as a natural, divine expression of life. An orgasm, for example, would be reaching a higher vibration within our human experience. The act of creation, including sexual union, was viewed as sacred and integral to the human experience. Through an orgasm, one can vibrationally enter into higher metaphysical experience and knowledge because the spiritual and physical realms are interconnected in that way. The soul becomes the mediator or translator for the heavens and earth. In an orgasmic state, the physical body is vibrationally raised, which allows it to connect and merge vibrationally with the soul or translator for the divine. However, if you have low vibrational emotions like guilt and shame around the sexual act in an orgasm, for example, you metaphysically create a vibrational gap and an inability to connect with the higher vibration of the soul. Shame is one of the lowest vibrational emotions that you can hold within your being because it puts you at odds with loving and appreciating yourself. Shame is defined as feeling inappropriate to life. Understanding this original philosophy and how it was corrupted can help dissolve the guilt and shame associated with sexual activity that has been created from religious beliefs. Accepting the religious theology and doctrines on sexuality will trap you into lower vibrational states of being. Redefining sexuality. Overcoming religious blocks with metaphysical insights. From a metaphysical perspective, emotions translate a small spectrum of a vibrational universe into human experience within the earthly realm. Recognize that physical desires as emotions are not in opposition to spiritual growth, but are a part of a holistic existence between body and soul. One way the ancients symbolized desire was as fire. Philosophically speaking, fire or desire is the first cause of anything and everything. Even in New Age vernacular today, one must know what one wants or desires to manifest it. But negative emotions like guilt and shame are blocks to the free flow of the creative energy moved by desire. In ancient philosophy, the descent of the soul into matter symbolizes the soul's journey through physical experience to gain wisdom and enlightenment. This journey would involve embracing one's sexuality as part of one's divine nature and not a sinful and wicked nature that has become part of Christian beliefs about sexuality. It's about recognizing that the possibility of positive and negative, or light and dark, are always present, and how you define your experience is the true key to mental freedom. By studying the esoteric teachings of the ancient Egyptians, you can validate your natural sexual desires as expressions of divine creativity. On the other hand, early Christian father Augustine deemed desire as unnatural. His view was challenged by others in the church. This is what Bible scholar Elaine Pagel says about this in her book, Adam, Eve, and the Serpent. When Julian, an early church bishop, challenged Augustine to define what is nature, human nature, and nature in general, Augustine replied that mortality and sexual desire are not natural. Both, he insists, entered into human experience only to punish Adam's sin. This Christian father demonstrated a lack of metaphysical knowledge and the principle as above, so below when he deemed desire unnatural, when it's actually the first cause of anything created in the universe. The story of Atum, which is the original creative source that we call today, created himself by union with his hand or masturbating. It mythologically expresses the idea that he had to produce desire in order to manifest Shu and Tefnut. In ancient Egyptian philosophy, in this way, we're like the source. It's as above, so below. Christianity deemed it satanic to connect God to anything sexual. Think about this as a principle in common sense. The creative process is the same for creating and birthing a child as it is for creating and birthing a universe, a business, a new car, or a vacation trip. It all first begins with the desire to manifest it. Because of religious beliefs, we've compartmentalized this concept in a way that blinds us to the fundamental principles of manifesting and creating. Only through ignorance, defined as not knowing, do we believe what we were taught in church. If we psychologically profile these Gnostic and early Christian fathers' views surrounding sex, we would deem them dysfunctional. However, because we simply believe without knowledge, we let this dysfunctional philosophy rule over our lives and our relationships negatively. Again, this is not to promote promiscuity, but to open a space for healing. Validation of these ancient philosophical concepts can help reframe your beliefs, fostering a sense of confidence and clarity. Reclaiming divine essence. Embrace your sexuality free from outdated beliefs. Sexual energy is a powerful creative force that can be channeled positively. Energetic alchemical transformations of sexual energy have the potential to catalyze physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. By embracing and redirecting this energy, you can enhance various aspects of your life, transcending traditional guilt and shame. Recognize that you are a microcosm of the divine. Philosophically, the ancient origins of spiritual ideology taught that the spiritual and physical are not separate. They're different expressions of the same divine essence. The soul is as natural as the body, and the body as spiritual as the soul. This realization empowers you to define your sexual experiences free from the constraints of outdated religious doctrines. I'll say this in another way that I hope will connect the dots to healing and emotional freedom. You are a vibrational microcosm of the macrocosm. You are the stuff of creation in human form. When we accepted beliefs like being born sinful, the fall from grace, total depravity, that we could burn in hell for eternity, that somehow made us believe we were separate and different from the source, it did a disservice to us psychologically and spiritually. Holding on to those ideas will negatively impact you physically and mentally. By understanding the historical and philosophical elements of ancient Egyptians' concepts of the soul's descent into matter, you can liberate yourself from the restrictive and psychologically destructive views of sexuality imposed by traditional Christian misinterpretations of these ancient principles. This journey of enlightenment helps you address doubts and fears, navigate personal transformation, and empower yourself with new knowledge, ultimately leading to a healthier and more fulfilling sexual identity. Embrace your sexuality as a natural and divine aspect of your being. Stop living under the yoke and mental oppression of sexually dysfunctional men from 2,000 years ago. Define your life for you, by you, and have the courage to live the definition. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share with anyone who will be vibrationally uplifted and constantly elevated by this knowledge.